welcome to our Prestige PEO webinar series. My name is Shannon Shaw. I am Operations Supervisor at Prestige PEO and your host today. This afternoon, we will be talking about a new benefit product offering, Motivity Care. I am joined by Min Sempt, who is the co-founder and co-managing director of Motivity Care. Our webinar viewers are automatically muted, but we encourage you to utilize the chat feature for any questions you may have, and we will address them at the end of the webinar if time allows. If your question is not answered, we will follow up with you shortly after the webinar concludes. The webinar is also being recorded and will be posted on prestigepeo.com/webinars so that you can refer to it at any time.
We are delighted to be working with Prestige and bringing Motivity Care to the marketplace. This caregiving issue for employers is becoming a bigger expense. And if you are an employee and have ever gone through caregiving, you already know how complex and overwhelming, stressful it can be. And so we came to the market to be a solution to help working caregivers reduce the hours that they have to spend in a myriad of issues, and we'll get into that a little bit, to keep them from going into financial jeopardy. And for any of you that are interested in learning more, there was a great article in Forbes just 2 weeks ago about how this caregiving issue is going to impact millennials financially, and unfortunately put them into a place of being financially unstable. And so we think it is very important for all of us to have an understanding of what does caregiving mean for us in the workplace? What does it mean for us in terms of employers? If you're a broker on this call, how Motivity Care integrates into a total rewards program so that it's not just a standalone, it actually enhances other benefits. But really at the heart of this is that we have an aging workforce and an aging population. There are caregivers that are as young as 21. It is costing employers a huge amount of money. It is bankrupting employees. And so the need in the marketplace is really there. It does not need to be that way. And we are here to help. So let's jump in a little bit, and we're going to talk about how we can simplify this caregiving process. So before I go to the next slide, I just ask you to think for a minute. If you got that phone call and you suddenly had to make care decisions for a loved one, a parent, a spouse, might be Aunt Susie, your grandparent, whoever it is, would you know what to do? Would you know who to call? And would you have the right information in place? My second question is this, and we certainly hope it doesn't happen, but we know it does sometimes. If something happened to you, if you were in a car accident, if you passed out somewhere, who has your information? Who is going to make sure that the right care plan is happening? Any allergies, any legal considerations? Who has that information? And how quickly can they get to it? So we'll start with a little bit of data here. Now that we've asked that first question, the reality is that we've got 70 million baby boomers, and some of you may be baby boomers on this call. Who is going to be caring for them and making care decisions? And what does that really mean for us? So that second stat is that you will spend approximately 24 hours each and every week doing care management. That's not direct care. That's not feeding somebody or taking them out of a bed. Those are all the phone calls to doctors and maybe Medicare, and trying to figure out if you can keep someone in the home or not, or how do we vet aides that we want to bring in? Who would take care of mom's pet if she suddenly went in? What do we do about a skilled nursing facility? What are my legal options? What's a trust versus a will? It gets very complex very quickly. And so understanding that being prepared is what is going to reduce that number of hours. So for the employers that may be on here, but really for any of us, most of those phone calls and things we're going to have to do are going to have to be during regular working hours. So this impacts how we show up as employees. It impacts our personal lives, and it impacts the bottom line of the employer. We also know that as a working caregiver, you're caring for somebody, you're doing your very best, you're trying to balance your job. The reality is your physical and mental health and financial health can be in jeopardy without the right support. And clearly nobody wants to be there. So who are the caregivers, right? We tend to think of people caring for adults as older folks, but clearly that is not the case. So again, this is AARP data, and there are caregivers between 18 and 49 that are spending those 24 hours a week. So it's very, very important to understand that it is not just older employees that may be dealing with caregiving issues. I think some of you may have seen recently that unfortunately, the rates of cancer for people under 50 are going up. So caregiving is not necessarily just about aging. It's about making sure that if you go through an accident or a medical emergency, that everything you need is in place and you have the right support system around you. And so just judging by some of the things that I've shared with you, you start to understand just how overwhelming it can become and how quickly that can happen. And it has a direct impact on how we show up personally and professionally. There's real solid data to say that those of us that get thrown into this caregiving space, and you may have experienced this, right? You don't want to talk about caregiving. If somebody knows that I'm a caregiver, are they going to not let me be part of a project? And that is real. We've definitely seen that kind of bias in the workplace. Mom's aide didn't show up on time. Now I'm late. I don't know if I can balance that big project or take that trip because now mom has early Alzheimer's or dad broke his hip. And in worst case scenario, and we did see a lot of this coming out of COVID, people just burn out. They cannot show up in the way that they need because they don't have the support that they need. Now, the good news is that a lot of us, most of us, who are put into that caregiving decision are pretty computer savvy, right? We're tech savvy. We know how to use technology. Maybe our aging loved ones won't, but it can be a godsend to us in terms of saving us time and money. And the reality is that there are a lot of millennials, including younger millennials, that are having to spend money out of their own pocket to care for aging adults while they're earning less, which now over the course of their career is going to hurt them financially. It doesn't mean it means you don't have money to put away for an emergency fund. It may mean you're not putting enough back into your 401k. So there is a very real reason why we want to be paying attention to this early on. It's not just about caring for that person, it's also about protecting yourself. So we wanted to share some real numbers around this. If you have to leave the workplace to care for an aging loved one, in general, you're going to leave between $300,000 and $800,000 on the table. And that is including things as we have on the slide here. Any wage increases, money you could have put back for retirement, any investment you could have done, additional Social Security benefits. I don't think any of us would want to leave that money on the table. And this is where it becomes very difficult for employees because they're basically being asked to choose between caring for someone that they love and their careers. And I don't think any of us really want to put our colleagues in that position. I think the other thing to understand too is that in general, when you don't have things in place, you're going to start to have your own out-of-pocket costs. And it could be because you don't have access to the person's money. And again, it's not that you're trying to take it, but if they can't speak for themselves, if they are in a hospital and they're in a coma or they're recovering from surgery and you've got to pay bills and you don't have permission to pay those bills, you don't have a financial POA, what are you going to do? Are you going to buy the meds for mom? Or are you going to, pay those expenses until you can work it out? And in most cases, that's what happens. And this is where you start to see people tap into their 401ks. I can tell you that I had a conversation actually with two different adult caregivers in their 50s. And because there was no plan in place, both of them went through their entire 401k savings. And so they had to start all over again. That should not be the case. And that's why being prepared and thinking about this in advance can be something that can make sure that you don't go into financial jeopardy. I wanted to also talk to you about this through the diversity lens. So in general, the majority of primary caregiving decision makers are female. That's just a fact. That doesn't mean that there aren't great male caregivers out there, and we want to applaud everybody out there that's doing that. But it does hit caregivers in different ways. And there are different legal, medical considerations, personal considerations that you have to take into account depending on who is doing the caregiving and who is being cared for. So there is a very strong tie-in between DE&I and caregiving. And I'll give you a couple examples of that. So if you come from a diversity background, if you're Black, Latina, Asian, American, chances are you're caring for your aging loved one in your home. We just know that. And so understanding your dependent care benefit and getting access to that is something that we understand. So you would call a Motivity Care to say, I'm in the middle of a caregiving crisis. How do you help us? We also make sure that you get tied back to the benefits that your company has in place that can enhance your caregiving experience. So it's not meant to be a standalone, it's meant to be integrated. Your company may have an EAP, and the reality is when you become a caregiver, when somebody has an accident, when somebody gets a cancer diagnosis, it's emotional. And we don't like to think about those things. But it's part of our job to make sure that you know about those other resources so that you are getting a true care network. We kind of think of it. Somebody gave me just today this idea that caregiving can feel like you're in a car accident, but if you have a good safety belt and you have that all the safety features that are built into that car, it means that you have a much better chance of getting through that accident without getting injured. And this is really what preparing for this stuff can do for you. You can't make an Alzheimer's diagnosis any easier to hear. But if you have all the pieces of the puzzle around, personal preferences, legal considerations, that journey can become a whole lot easier. You also have to think about it again through like an LGBTQ plus lens. These folks may have a different family, different medical considerations that need to be called out. That's going to be different than someone else. And so it's our job to understand what that is and help you make the best decisions for you and your family. We do want to point out that, again, it's true, but the vast majority of caregivers in the workplace, those primary caregiving decision makers, are women. And we added this stat in here because so many of them are struggling with this right now. So if your company cares about gender equity and diversity and inclusion, having a real solution around caregiving is a very clear message that they are important to you in your organization. And it really is about simplifying it. So as you've heard, there are all these pieces of the puzzle that you're going to have to think about. We usually go right to medical, right? Do we have the right medical information, the history, the medications? But then there's the legal considerations. Who can make decisions for that person? Are the right POAs in place? But it goes way beyond that. And this is why we're very big about thinking about this ecosystem before you get into that disaster. It means also that you and your loved ones have more control over what happens. When you can make decisions before the crisis, it really speeds along getting the right care personalized for you and your family. When you're doing it in the middle of the crisis, and of course we can help you through that, sometimes it makes it much more difficult. So similar like financial planning, right? You plan for different things. You go in and you talk to your financial advisor if you're using one, or maybe you're talking to your 401k provider, or maybe it's your banker, whoever it is. But as you're saving for a house or starting to have a family, that's one consideration. Then you may be thinking about a college fund for your kids. Then you're thinking about your own retirement and maybe where you're going. It's a similar kind of process around caregiving because you may be just planning for it. You're doing well. Everybody's healthy and traveling and doing everything that you want to do as a human being. But you know that if a bump happens in the road, you're prepared for that. Then as each bump happens, you know that you have a support system around you. And Motivity Care does this in two different ways. First, we believe that you should have everything at your fingertips. So we are desktop and app. And a lot of, one of the big questions is, well, how secure is this? We have bank level security, and I mean global bank level security. So for those of you that are tech savvy, it is SOC 2 level 2 certification. And our tech team tries to hack into the system on a weekly basis. So we have been vetted nationally, obviously by Prestige and many other organizations. We're really proud of that fact, that the security on the tech is first and foremost for us. And we do meet US, EU, Canadian, California data security standards. What the tech provides is year-round coverage for you or somebody that you may have to care for. It doesn't matter where you are, at work, out to dinner, on vacation. You will always have what you need at your fingertips. The technology, you think, oh my gosh, there's all these pieces of information. We make it extraordinarily easy to upload information into the platform. You can do it again, desktop or app. You can drag and drop. If you have things on a OneDrive, we make it super easy for you to just pop it right into the platform. But I think the really wonderful, unique piece is the app feature, because again, we all have our smartphones. Once you have this set up, say you want to have your mom's doctor's offices and maybe your mom's lawyer or whoever it is, you can put out the business card, create a record, and take a picture. It really is that simple. And then you can decide who gets to see this information down to a document. So unlike a Google Docs where you might have a lot of this, information, which is usually, or a Dropbox, it's all or nothing. You and your loved ones have total control over who sees what when. So maybe your lawyer is updating the will. You can permission the lawyer for 2 weeks if you choose to do that, and they can upload directly in here. Does not go through email. So that keeps all the information very secure. Maybe you're bringing an aide in to take care of mom. You can permission the aide to only see certain pieces of information. They can't edit it, they can only view it. But maybe you and your sister are both caring for your dad, and you live in 2 different states. You can share this platform, so it becomes a communications platform. You always have up-to-date information, and everybody double authenticates, including my entire team. So that means if somebody says they're going to do something and you live in 2 different states or even in another country, you're going to know that they went in and did it. Makes it very, very easy. So we give you the technology to make sure that no matter what happens, you have what you need in any kind of an emergency situation or just in a day-to-day situation. You go into a doctor's visit, you forget about what meds was mom on? What do I have to worry about for this piece? You never have to worry. It's always in here for you. And we help you keep it updated, because here's the other thing we all know, right? We've got super busy lives. You may do a fabulous job and get everything in there, but are you really going to remember to make some changes? Well, we're here to help you do that. So on a quarterly basis, we're going to nudge you and we're going to say, hey, did anything change for your loved one that you might be caring for yourself? We want to help you keep this updated. We also, once you have your initial training, down the road, you can have access to additional training that is free. So again, if you haven't used something for a couple of months, you might go, oh, I forgot how to do this. We make it very easy for you to quickly understand what you need to do. And we want you to be very comfortable with the tech. But we're not just technology. And I think that's really important to understand. Tech is great, but aging is a very personal thing for you, for your family members, for your friends. And so Motivity Care has more than 180 fully vetted resources in every aspect of care and aging. And we do this so that you can quickly get to a resource that meets your budget, that has been, like if we're doing something around, say, a skilled nursing facility, the patient to staffing ratio. We understand infection rates. We help you think about any contracting issues. Does it meet insurance? Is it long and short term skilled nursing facility? We're here to help guide you so that you are not spending hours and hours and hours trying to figure out what is the best resource. That's what we're here to do for you as a concierge service. And you can start to see now how having the tech and being set up, a situation happens, can we keep mom in the house or not? We have family fighting over medical protocol. We are fighting just in general, and we need a family mediator. I need help with doctor's appointments because my spouse is older. I'm still working a full-time job and traveling. I can't do this. No matter what it is, you can call us and we are here to support you and make sure that it is specific to your needs and your situation. Because one care situation is not like another, and your family, your situation, we truly believe deserves to have that personal touch. So that's why we do both. And then once the crisis is over, you could go through surgery. And here's a good example. We've had an executive did not have a good support network around her. Okay, she's going in for major surgery. So we can sit down with her and help her put together a care plan, make sure the bills are going to get paid, the house is getting cleaned, how is she getting back from the hospital, all those pieces of the puzzle, whatever she needs us to do. She got back on her feet. Great. End of the service. You need us again. We're here to help. So again, I want to be clear that this is not just about caring for an aging adult. It can also be when anybody goes through any kind of care need at any stage in your career. So hopefully you've gotten kind of an understanding of why being proactive and thinking about care as not just medical and legal, but more as this whole human experience is a very important view for us to take. That when we don't do this, we put ourselves into potential financial jeopardy. It can put us in a position where we could lose our job. But the upside is that if we are prepared, now we can provide this kind of support that we want to the people that we love, and we can be productive at work. We aren't making a decision between those two things. When we know that it's not just about us, that we have true vetted professionals and collaborators, both our family members and professionals in the aging space around us, it can make us much more comfortable and confident in the choices that we're making. And of course, it needs to be affordable. It shouldn't just be, and I've heard this many times, healthy for the wealthy. That is not what we are about. It doesn't matter if you are a shift worker, a third work, and it's third shift, and you go into caregiving, or you are on an executive team. Going through the care journey is very disruptive and can feel very lonely and overwhelming. This is why this proactive approach is so much better. We are honored, truly honored, to be able to support and work with people that are going through this journey. I will tell you that my partner and I and our head concierge manager have all personally gone through this journey. So this is not just a company coming to market and saying, hey, we're here to solve this problem. We've been in your shoes. We have taken care of loved ones, family members at end of life through cancer treatments, through ALS, through a hit and run accident. We understand. And we know that when we have been in a position to have this support network around us, it has made all the difference. It has allowed us to continue to grow in our careers. But it also has woken us up to the fact for us as individuals, because this is the other thing I'm going to tell you. We are all, everybody in our organization is on this platform because we consider it a loving thing to do for the people in our lives. If something happens to me, my husband doesn't have to second guess anything. He already knows. If anything happens to my mother, my sister and I know everything we need to do. We know what her wishes are, and we can execute on those and feel comfortable that we're making those decisions, even if she can't talk. And so We are on a mission to make sure that people have the support around them at every stage of this care journey for themselves or those that they love. And that ultimately it means reducing and simplifying caregiving so that you can focus on your job, your career, but maybe more importantly, on the people you love. And that we believe is maybe the biggest gift that comes with this. There is nothing that is going to replace the time that you may have with those that you're caring for, particularly if they are older. And we want you to have that gift. I would also encourage you that if you have children that are 18, 25, just starting out in their careers, that you consider this as something that you can put in place to make sure that if anything happened to you, they would have the support system around them. We are here to make sure that people are prepared, that it is affordable, that this caregiving journey will not bankrupt you, and that you are truly protected, that you can have that peace of mind and not feel like you're going down a big black hole journey, especially if you've never been through this before. It allows you to have more of that work-life balance. And as I said, we integrate into a total rewards program because as good as we believe we are and what we bring to the table, and we're very honored to do that, we recognize that the other benefits that may be in your organization can complement this, and we want to make sure it's an ecosystem around you. So with that, I want to thank you for your time. We encourage you to enroll. You can easily do this through the Prestige platform. You will get live onboarding training. Again, what we get constantly is once you've gone in there and did use the tech a few times, it is simple, simple, simple. Very easy to use, very easy if you want to add your sister or a spouse on for them to get up to speed. This initial enrollment on Prestige, the benefit will start March 1st. So if you sign up, your benefit will go live March 1st. The platform then gives you access to the concierge services. There are charges for that. I just want to be clear about that. But the goal is to make sure that we quickly turn things around for you so that you're not spending hours, days, weeks, months trying to find the right resource. And we can also be your 24/7 emergency protection. So that's very important. People have said, well, how would people have access if I can't talk? You can add Motivity Care as your emergency number on your phone so that they call us. We are going to get in contact with your emergency contacts. We're going to understand your ecosystem. And again, it's to speed up the process and make sure whatever care you're getting is exactly what you or your loved ones have designated. I think, and with that, I am going to stop sharing. I thank you for your patience with some of the computer glitches here. I would love to hear from you if any of you are caregivers, any challenges that you might have, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Mim. We did have a couple of questions come through our chat. The first one of which is that it looks like it might take a long time to get this information together. Won't that be extremely difficult?
So that's a really good question. We get that a lot, right? Because it does seem like there's a lot of stuff. Think about this. I pick up my phone, I lay out the pieces of cards, Medicare card, whatever it is. I go click, 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 click. I'm done. It is designed to be very simple. The other thing that we encourage you to do, like anything, right? If you try to take on any big task, it becomes overwhelming. What we know is that when our folks that sign up put 10 minutes on your calendar once a week for a few weeks, you will get this done very quickly. And those 10 minutes are investment into peace of mind when the unexpected happens.
Oh, thank you so much for that. The next question is about the security of information. How secure is this data?
Right. So I will tell you that both my partner and I we've worked at some global organizations in our careers. It was very, very important to us before we even went to market that the level of security on this technology was the gold standard, which is SOC 2 Level 2. Again, we meet EU, Canadian, US, and California data security standards. Um, we are on our own platform. And as if you do online banking, we are every bit, if not more secure than an online banking option.
Thank you so much. The next question is from someone, would this be available for people who change employers? Do they maintain the benefit?
Yes. I do have a pretty extensive benefits background, and one of the things that we didn't want to happen was you have this at one company and then go to another. It is a payroll deductible benefit for there, but it's like a COBRA benefit. So you can just pay for it yourself. You get just like you would do for medical COBRA benefits. If you're retiring, you can turn it into an individual account so that you always have this. You'll never lose this information. And I know this is kind of a tough thing, but I think it relates to this. If somebody suddenly passes away, we keep all this information available for the family and for the estate. Because again, some of the legal pieces in here that we help you think about can be very, very beneficial for whoever is the executor, and we want to make it as easy as possible for them. And then we won't, if somebody's passed away, we're not going to charge you for those 6 months.
Thank you so much. The next question is whether people can have multiple accounts, say an account for their mom, and then an account where their son could conceivably access information about themselves.
Absolutely. We do want you to have your own account. Everybody should have their own, even if it's a husband and wife, because your medical issues are different. You may have different, believe it or not, legal considerations. For a healthcare directive, we never want that information intermingled. But the good news is an individual account is just $15 a month. For an additional $5, you can get another account. For an additional $5 more, you can get another account. So you could theoretically put mom and dad on and yourself for $25. Makes it very, very affordable. And if you own all of those 3 accounts, once you authenticate on the app, you can flip back and forth. You don't have to log out and log back in. We make it super easy for you to be able to manage multiple accounts. So I hope that answers the question. And the other thing is to reemphasize collaborators, because sometimes people are a little confused about that. Like you may be a joint caregiver with your sister or a brother or a family member, but there may be others, like I was saying, like an aide or the neighbor who might take care of your mom or dad's dog or cat if they go into the hospital. You can permission them as a collaborator for just that piece of information. So this gives you an idea. Everybody can have an individual account, but then beyond that, you can add collaborators depending on how you want to use it and who you want to see that, who you want to see that information. So hopefully that answers the question.
It sure does. Thank you so much. The next question is, so we do have many clients that are nonprofits and they have both employees and volunteers. Would this be available also to volunteers or only to paid employees?
Well, it is a payroll deductible benefit. That's a very interesting question. So I will be upfront. We do have individual clients. Those volunteers would have to come on as an individual client because the contract's being signed with the employer. It would be up to the employer. Now you can do a payroll deductible, right? But would an employer want to pay for this? I mean, that's the other question, I think, in the context of this conversation. But typically, like any other benefit, if it's a volunteer and they're not on payroll, then the payroll deduction can't be done. But there is no reason why they can't reach out to us as a volunteer, and we'd be happy to talk to them.
Great. And we did have some questions about the cost of the program. What should people do if they would want to find out more information about that?
Right. So Prestige, in our collaboration with Prestige, there's lots of information that Prestige has that you can tap into. Again, as a payroll deductible benefit, it is $15 a month. Similar like a LifeLock, right? Similar kind of thing. Again, we wanted to make sure that this was accessible to people at every level in an organization. And then again, if they're going to add, I know I'm reiterating, but again, if you need more than one account, it's just an additional $5 per account.
Well, thank
And
you so much, Mim, for this valuable presentation. Was there something you wanted to add?
we did have our contact. I mean, obviously we're working with Prestige. All of you are connected to Prestige. Please reach out to them. But if you want to reach out to us directly, please feel free to do that. We're more than happy to talk to you. Just let us know that you came through Prestige.
Thank you to everyone for joining us. You can view this webinar recording on our website by visiting prestigepeo.com/webinars. And you can also reach out to your benefits specialist for additional guidance. Be sure you check out our benefits center at prestigepeo.com/benefits-center for more information on Motivity Care and other benefits offered by Prestige PEO. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter for current happenings at Prestige PEO and the latest information. Finally, remember to download our Prestige Go mobile app for access to your benefits information and support from your HR team members on the go. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, Mim.
Thank you.